Hi YouTubers, but this is on here, and the reason I'm doing this is so that they stay on there and then you can watch it another time. It doesn't just stay as a live, I think it stays as an actual whole video. What are you waiting for, babes? Sorry, what was I going to say? Did I cut off in the middle of the sentence? Oh, however you want me. Right, I'm going to put this on my phone because the YouTube live is on. But I'm going to put the music on my phone, and then I'm going to go into casual sex and learn your vibration. So I'm going to end this live and then come back on. But let's put some music on first. Soul to soul. Let's get it right, kids. Oh, twerk. I can't twerk. I actually can't twerk. It's really bad. Like, I can whine. Okay. Right, I'm going to come out and then I'm going to come back in. All 24 of you better be back in here. Okay? Bye. Oh. Okay. Hi, guys. Sorry. You've seen boring stuff for the minute. But we're going to do a live now, guys, on casual sex. Oh, shit now. Casual sex. Does it lower your vibration? Good fucking question. Okay. This is gonna be an interesting one, guys. So, casual sex doesn't lower your vibration. Right. Back to life. Let's break this down, okay? Love. Love is what we're all coming into alignment with, yeah? Coming into alignment with spiritually, right? That's what we're all doing here. We're all mastering an ego. Oh, for fuck's sake, stay still. You've been fine the whole time. We're mastering an ego, right? We're learning that love is the answer to everything. We're really trying to understand love is the answer, but without it being these wanky, you know, just like generic things, like the actual meaning and the feeling actually behind love, instead of trying to think about love. Sorry, guys, you're getting like my side face, but whatever. Sorry. But if we say we come back, I'm going to try and move this because maybe my battery will last. So I'll put it here. Yeah, so now they're getting thingy. So when it comes to love, sex in 2018 hasn't got a lot of love running through it. It's a lot of lust. It's a lot of it's a lot of I don't know, wham bam thank you ma'am shit going on. Like, you know, we've all been there. I know I have. I'm a sexually experienced woman and I don't hide it and I don't pretend I'm not. I don't necessarily need to put all my business out there, but I'm not someone who's shy of sex. I love sex. I think it's important. It's life. It's also sacred. And I learned that sex was sacred. Listen, my one thing I'm going to say is I've got a lot of new followers that I've noticed that have come through and they're attracted to me. And I'm not even going to say this like in like just like calling people out. But if you're in here, I want mature comments, mature understandings and mature input into this conversation. I don't want what I just experienced with tandoori dick in the last one, okay? Like, seriously, I want serious people to come in here. I'm actually a page that I get left alone as like seen as a sexual being by men on my page, but recently people have just like been coming at me in a different way. Than maybe it's growth, I don't know. with growth comes sexual lust. But if we're going to have this conversation, I need it to be fully mature. I just want to put that out there before I can't be dealing with having to stop to block people and shit. Just keep it fucking 2018 mature, right? So cash sex, for me personally, can be very connected, but there is a very thin line between connection and attachment. So if you're attached to a person, then that's not connection. Attachment is fearing that person's going to go, and that tends to happen with casual sex. It starts off all like, yeah, not really thinking about the person after, happens again the next weekend, happens the next day or whatever, and it's like this little pattern starts forming. But then when it stops, or when there's like a little change in the pattern, or how often it's happening, or feelings start coming because you're maybe not being maybe you're not clearing your energy after you slept with that person. Maybe you're not being responsible with your heart. Like, you might be heartbroken about something else, but you're choosing to have casual sex in order to distract yourself. Is it healthy? Or you might be fully single and, just like, do you know what? I'm ready to mingle and doing it that way. But the other person that you're dealing with, they've just come out of something, or they're kind of like quite open, like, yeah, I'm dating quite a few people. A lot of those kind of scenarios that we get into with casual sex is attachment. And attachment is unhealthy. Now, don't get me wrong, we have healthy attachments. We have healthy level of connection. But attachment where you're starting to fear, you're starting to get that feeling in your tummy, you're starting to think about that person more than just that moment in time. There's not a detached feeling anymore. It's not healthy for you. It's not. And it does lower your vibration. And I believe that with many things, but because we're talking about sex, I think that the minute questions start coming up, like, are we ruining this bond between us? Or, is this a bond? Is this a connection? Or is this just because you're here? Like, am I replacing that ex? Am I, wait, if you're not having, do you know what the biggest thing I think what is missing in casual sex in general is communication, healthy communication. So people seem to fear, myself included, and I spoke about this about self-expression before, this fear of expressing what you really feel, your fear of feeling like uncertain of whether it's okay to kind of say, look, I don't have feelings for you, like my feelings are not strong for you, but something's kind of going on and I feel a certain way now. Or just communicating, just being adults about it. Just like, say you have the most amazing sex with that person, like it's fucking off the Richter scale, the best sex you've ever had, better than the sex you've had with the most connected person you've been with, but you're like, I don't feel nothing like strongly for you, but that was insane, like what just happened? And if you can't have safe conversations with somebody, then I believe you shouldn't be having casual sex. So for me, I've recently learned I can't do that. I'm not built for it, and I never was really built for it. I used to be involved in casual sex way too often, and really had to do some sacral chakra work and womb work and sexual trauma work, and really go there. So then for me to do all that work, I undo it actually by having casual sex with someone, because I'm an empath. So especially if you're an empath, geez Louise, if you're an empath, you become a dumping ground. So unless you are being extremely vigilant afterwards, after you've had sex with that person who might have all this emotional stuff going on, you've got emotional stuff going on, so you're transferring. If you aren't pulling your shit back from them, if you're not doing instant soul tie work, if you're not doing cutting cords, if you're not releasing their energy that they've dumped in you, and you're not asking for yours back and all that shit, you're in very, very dangerous territory, especially if you're more conscious with your stuff. Now, when you're ignorant and when you don't know better, I can't talk for them people. I can't talk, because I was that and no one could have told me shit. But I'm talking for those that are consciously doing work and sexually believe in being liberal and doing what they want, but you've got to be responsible and accountable for your actions, and then for maybe someone else's. Who you might be having sex with someone who spiritually isn't on your level of consciousness, but it doesn't mean you don't have this click and this connection, but you have to be almost responsible for them. So then it's a whole nother level of things. So that really, it should put you off wanting to do it. It's like, I don't really want to be responsible for someone else, you know. Like, I'm not, my Venus is in Capricorn, and I've learned from my beautiful Capricorn friends. One of mine is in here, and I'm going to read her what she said. LMX, Laura, I'm going to answer her comment in a minute, but she's a Capricorn, and I learn a lot from her, and I've learned a lot from other Capricorns in my life, and Capricorns are way more sensitive than they let on, and I've noticed that comes into play with my love. Obviously it's in Venus a lot, and I can put on a hardy vibe and genuinely convince myself I'm cool with it, and then I'm like, no, you're not, bitch. Like, girl, like, you are not okay with this. Because it's not necessarily that I'm catching feelings. This is the thing as well, especially with fucking men, and not all men, just some men that do this whole, yeah, women catch feelings shit, like, oh, you're catching feelings. No, actually, I'm just having an attachment moment. And if you had the emotional intelligence to understand that, you wouldn't be so flattered that I'm catching feelings and now you can just choose to detach from me. Like, it's not love. It's not even necessarily lust. It's attachment. It's this weird energy that can form between you and that person, and you mistake it for like catching feelings. Like, because you could cut cords with that person, take all the dumping ground shit that's gone on, and then all of a sudden you feel like barely anything for the person, and you know, you're back into your senses. So I believe that casual sex can lower your vibration if you are, one, not communicating about where you are at. You know, where are you at? Oh, so for me, if I go into a thing tomorrow, where I'm at, I would tell the person I'm about to go for a divorce. I am, you know, part of me still loves that person. I know this is off-putting, but this is facts. Like, if someone wants to get into the facts of you, but they still want to have sex with you because they just want to have sex with you, they don't want nothing else with you, they just want sex, they should be able to handle this, because it's not personal, because you're having casual sex. Do you see what I'm saying? But really and truly, we don't have casual sex because we want to feel important. We want to feel like the only one that's in your mind at that time. We want to feel like you're the only person that they care about at that moment. If you start saying the truth about how you're really feeling about someone else, you've got to be very strong and open-minded to be able to handle that, to have actual casual sex. Me, I can't hear that. Even though I'm going through my own stuff, and it might be nice to hear, like, oh, you're going through that too, cool. I still need to be the number one for you right now. I still need to be number one, because it's my vagina that is actually, that you're penetrating, and it's, you know, I'm also very grateful that it's your penis that I'm getting to enjoy, you know. So I don't want to know about exes and da-da-da-da, but that's for casual sex. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for me, you've got to be able to have open dialogue, and you've got to be able to be kind of raw with it. And I don't think we're at a stage, I don't think as a generalization, many of us having casual sex can do that. I know that, like, I can talk about my feelings, and I can talk about how I'm very aware. Like, I believe that you can love more than one person. I don't believe in, I could be a part of like polyamory or anything like that, but I do believe that, like, you can love one person one way and love another person another way, and be in love with someone and still love someone over there. I really do believe that. So I can make that person feel very, very, say I'm in love with someone over here, I can make that person feel like I love them, and like, because I can make it all about them. But if you start asking me questions, I don't know how to be dishonest, so I'll start telling the truth. So that can then make things awkward. Now, if that person can handle it, great, But if they can't, and then if I ask you questions, you're not going to give me truth. Now we're into another messy territory, because also with casual sex, it's about the truth. So when you do start going to this communication thing, which is needed with casual sex, if the person chooses to withhold or omit the truth or lie, which we're all capable of doing, it's lost its it's not casual anymore. There's layers forming. So therefore it's going into, and look what cards on top, because I had a reading that I was going to get onto. But look, new love. So it all comes back to love, because there's different levels of love. There's different ways to love. And I think making love and having sex, you know, they're the same, you know, like we just, all right, we might want rough and dirty sex with someone. And then the next minute we might want, you know, like this more love and very like special and sacred sex. And for me, I'm personally into sacred sex. I'm personally into more that, like, you know, you meditate with someone and you end up just like, yeah, we're opening up in this tantric energy right now. Cool, let's go there. And I'm into that with someone, but I don't think that that's is it attainable? Is that the word? I don't think it's doable anyway with casual sex. I think that casual sex is as fun and as easy it is to fall into it. I think when you are spiritually conscious and when you are awakened, you can't do it for a long period of time anyway. That's what I think. That's what I personally think. Because I just think it goes into dangerous territory. Somebody starts getting feelings more than the other. Someone starts attaching more than the other. And it just gets a bit messy. And I do think it does lower your vibration because this is the part, because attachment consumes you. Attachment is that thing where you can't stop thinking about it. So first of all, it's fun because you're thinking about last night when you was like riding the life out of this guy, or being ridden the shit out of whatever, and it's all fun and sexy and blah blah blah. Then the second day comes and maybe a little bit of guilt comes because this reminds you of when you did this with so and so 2 years ago. Then you start judging yourself. Then you start being funny with the person. And then by the time you've got like through day 4, it's likely in the next couple of days, this casual sex is going to happen again, because for whatever reasons, there might be alcohol involved, or there might be, you know, familiar places, or it's just something that happens every weekend and has been. And then you're back in it. And then you add the dumping grounds aspect to it. Yeah. And then maybe they start showing you mixed signals, like they like you a bit more than that, and then that starts freaking you out. It starts becoming consuming. And if you're someone who is going through something, you're having casual sex to distract yourself from something else, you're just getting further and further and further away from your healing. So that's my thing on it. I think it does lower your vibration when it's done irresponsibly, as in you're not having these like honest conversations, you're not checking in with each other regularly to be like, are we still at where we was at before, or has things changed? And if someone's feelings have changed, they still should be safe with you. It still should be safe for you to say, do you know what? Yes, I think my feelings have changed. I think I am attaching a bit, or I don't know if this is connection or thingy, but can we talk about it? Like, you know, and that person being like, well, cool, you know what my boundary is, you know what my thing is. My thing is that, well, basically, if you do have that going on for you, like, I'm not kind of involved because I'm not trying to hurt you and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, I know, but can we talk about it? Yeah, of course we can talk about it. You need to feel safe. But a lot of the time, the reason we're not communicating is because we don't feel safe to talk about it, because we're scared of the person's reaction to us saying, I don't know if I'm catching feelings or not, but something has changed. Like, I don't know, like for instance, for me, I had something happen and I said like to somebody, oh, you know, they told me that they were going somewhere with another female. And for the first time I felt something. I felt a way about something. Do you know what I mean? So I was lucky with that person. I was safe to say something, but I still didn't feel safe to say it straight away. But in time, I did. I said the truth, and they really valued and respected it. And we had an honest, very, very mature conversation about it. After admitting, you know, we hadn't been immature with our communication. But when that happened, like, I was blessed that I was safe within that environment. But I still, you know, I still didn't feel safe up until that point. But I was like, wow, I remember thinking like, shit, like, this is just life now, isn't it? Like, we don't have, levels of trust. It's this trust. It's trust. And that leads back to what I posted on my Insta story today about trust. Everything about trust, whether it's from a doctor to money to a person to a friend to whatever, it all has a common denominator, which is you. You are the common thing in that. So do you trust yourself? And in those moments with casual sex, if you aren't trusting yourself and your own feelings and what you're capable of being involved in and you're capable of being caught up in, then you shouldn't be having sex with anybody, let alone casual sex. Sex is sacred, man. Like, and I don't mean that in a wanky way. Let me change the song because I don't know what I'm on for this. Oh my God, did you remember this song? Yeah, I think casuals means like free fall, like you do what we want. And it means that people's feelings aren't hurt. Kind of like this Love Island stuff. I know that it's the worst example to give, but I do think it's like a social experiment. Me and my friend Natalie were watching it heavily, and I think she's still watching it, but I've just chosen to stop because it's actually hurting my heart, like seeing that people like just are this dismissive of people's feelings and dismissive. To my Americans, it's just this random program. I don't know if you have one in America, but it's basically like they put all these single people and then they're trying to win this 50 grand prize, and the ones that stay together win it basically. But there's people that are there's a few people that are genuinely looking for love, and then there's others that are just, you know, they're just looking for, I don't know what they're looking for, but it is like a real understanding of the generation that is around today. And I'm not talking the younger generation, I'm just talking like my mum doesn't understand our generation because she's like, yes, she's experienced negative things when it comes to love, and not that love's negative, but things that have happened for her when she's been in relationships. But she's like, you guys just do the weirdest stuff, like with the seeing each other, dating each other, like all these different titles, and they all have slightly different, she said they're just all slightly less committed. And she's like, you know, it's just horrible. And Love Island has kind of got that energy going about it, where people just literally just disregard someone's feelings, and like loyalty means nothing and that stuff. And it's like casual sex should still be sacred. It should still be like a conversation between two people being adults. Like, yeah, we're having sex because we are so physically attracted to each other. But if there is a layer of like, I don't know, connection because you're friends, you know, like there's a great friendship there. It's like you can't neglect the friendship in order to like just fulfill the need of that, because you'll end up ruining it naturally. But or like, say, for instance, there is no friendship, but there's like this massive respect for this girl or this man that is this woman, and there's a massive respect between you, even if you're not friends. Like, say, like you would never hang out just as you two, but it's a physical, but there's a respect for this person because of the way they hold themselves and stuff like that. Like, you still have to come back to love. That's a form of love for someone, showing them respect. And how you show them respect is, I think, just having really healthy communication between you both. And, you know, because there are people that have casual sex and they generally don't have like them kind of strong feelings for one another. But if they ever heard like anything about them, or if anyone spoke bad on them, they wouldn't have no one say shit about them. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing. But it's because it's healthy, and they probably communicate about, they either choose to have like this healthy boundary, like, let's not talk about our private lives and what we get up to outside of this dynamic, because we don't want to bring anything into that. And that's always addressed and spoken about, and never, that line is never crossed. Or let's always talk about what's going on in our lives and where we're at. And if it feels wrong at this time, then it's cool. Like, you don't have to feel obliged, you know. But I don't think that's happening. I really don't think that's happening, because I know that even me thinking that it sounds good and it sounds like great in hindsight, but actually when you have to put it into practice, it's really fucking hard and it's scary, because you're so scared. It's the fear of the rejection of it as well. Like, you're going to reject my honesty, you know? So what am I seeing? With the wrong person, yes, I believe so. Self-serving masturbation with another equals cash sex. I don't understand. I don't get it, Laura. Do you mean like masturbating with the person there? Or do you mean like just masturbating in general? I feel like a lot of people know they need to clear their energy post casual sex. I know I would never have done it. Do it again. Do you know what as well? Like I said, like before I started having sex again, I was like, do you know, I'm going to make the person do this, this, and this, and even if like it's just casual, like this is what I expect from them. And I actually didn't see through a lot of what I had put as like these boundaries, and that added a layer of guilt. And again, that consuming thing, like putting myself down, that's why it's damaging, because you're not meeting your standards of things, of how you want things to go, right? And that bothered me, like, because I was like, oh, your standards weren't like, they weren't to your new level. It's not that they're high, but my standards are higher than what I used to have. And I kind of let them, once I kind of got into this casual sex thing, like, I dropped my standards in the sense of like something silly, like, okay, can you go and do a soul ties thing with the last person you slept with, please? Because, you know, I just don't really want their energy and my energy. No matter how weird or thingy that sounds, like, I shouldn't be having sex with someone who isn't willing to kind of meet my standards, because if there was a standard that they needed of a similar, you know, level of, because it building trust between you and that person, then, you know, you're not, I don't think you should be compatible to have sex. I know that sounds really like, well, that's very rigid, but I just think like we would have less fucking STDs, STIs, less problems going on if we stopped emotionally sleeping with people, as in taking the emotion from somewhere else and bringing it into something else. Because at the end of the day, these things have an energetic reaction, and they lay dormant in our bodies and stuff. Like, I really believe that, yes, it's in our food, yes, it's in the things they inject to us in vaccinations, and, you know, there's loads of things behind that. But I also think we are responsible with our emotions and what we bring to sex. And most of us are having sex to have a connection. Who is not having it to, like, all right, I know men say that I just have sex just to bash one out. Okay, agreed. But why'd you go back to that same girl that is fucking banging with? Because your connection's good. So there's a level of intimacy that you're desiring to have, right? Why let them in your space? You're afraid to speak. Right. Emotional magnets, man. I understand. You know, I'm doing this work. I'm newly single. I want to explore my sexuality. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, it's important, like, especially if you've been in a long relationship and, you know, you don't know who you are, but definitely do it from a space of wanting to connect and explore, yeah, yourself more as a person. And yeah, also making mistakes and falling on your ass, and you know, feeling like, God, that felt like fucking shit, let me not do that. I do think celibacy is a big part of spiritual growth as well, like restraining, like, altogether. Like, I've done 3 stints of no sex. I've done 3 stints of it since I was 21, of no sex. The first time was 10 months, the second time was 1.5 years, and the last time was 2 years. And in the first 2, I never used to masturbate because I didn't really understand it all. I was like, I don't think so. I learned about masturbation later in my life. But so those 2 like, don't really account for, like, it was easy to be celibate because I just saw celibacy as having sex. I didn't account masturbation into it. But the second time I didn't, because I believe in moon rituals, and I believe in releasing and manifesting, and you can do that through masturbation. So I didn't do that the last time. I was still self-pleasuring and also manifesting my fucking life. But this next time, a part of me wants to do it, like, fully. This next time, like, now, currently in it, I want to, like, I want to do both again, just because I think it's necessary, because I think it cleanses you. I think it's a real amazing way to deep cleanse. Plus, the next time you have sex is fucking epic. What do you do to clean yourself after you've had casual sex? I would smudge. I would send the soul tie back immediately, because at the end of the day, like, if you're having casual sex, it's not guaranteed that you're necessarily, sorry, I can't listen to R. Kelly, it makes me feel weird. If like casual sex is like, it's not guaranteed that you're having sex with that person again. It's very different when you're like in a real, like a committed relationship with someone. You don't need to do the whole soul tie stuff. But if you're like, you're not sure if you're going to have sex with that person again, like if it's not like a dead cert, you should be sending that back immediately, and just clearing your energy by visualizing things being transmuted and changed. Like I visualize like the ball of energy all coming up, rising up through my body, out of my head, and the universe sort of collecting it with its light, transmuting it, and then it coming back down and showering both of us with a transmuted energy, something different. I also can ground myself when I've had casual sex, and I visualize anything from that person and myself that may be negative. I pull it back from a magnet and take it down into the universe, into the earth, and let her transmute it for me. I eat like things that nourish the womb and that part. When I'm being really fucking good, because I'm really trying now to go back to being vegan, because it just serves me so much better. I'm only veggie, I don't eat meat, but I just want to get cheese out of my diet. Found out it's highly addictive, and I really believe it is. But try and get dairy out your diet, because dairy, I believe, well, it's been shown it as well in my visualizations, it holds on to shit. Things stick. So yeah, that's one way of cleansing after casual sex. Baths, spirit baths, with like apple cider vinegar, rose water, rose petals, something that's very gentle to the yoni. And just sitting in it for a long time, saying what you want to release from that person, seeing it come out and visualizing like it's all coming into the water, and then watching the water wash away until every drop is gone, basically, and then getting out and going about your life. There's loads of ways. Like it's kind of simple, but it takes practice. I think there needs to be a level of trust in casual sex as much as possible. Yes. I think that there is a huge misconception of casual movement. Yeah, we went over that. Do you believe that most people are really okay with casual sex, or they go with it because it's become the norm and they're hoping for more? Not saying all, but sometimes I feel people do this stuff. Well, I'm going to talk for myself. I 1,000,000% used to do that. Now, the last time I had casual sex, I wasn't doing that, but I ended up getting caught up because I still am an empath. Like I've always been an empath. I've always been somebody who only can really have connected sex. So even if the person wasn't necessarily as connected to me, I've always been connected. I can tell you 2 people that I've slept with that I didn't have a connection with out of X amount. But like 2 people out of, I lost my virginity when I was 14 years old. Like everyone I've slept with, I've always had some level of connection or maybe attachment, but careful, like a careful. I've only had 2 people where I classed them as sort of like a one-night stand type thing, and it made me feel so fucking depressed and god awful that I never really got into it again. Like I never did that again, and but the last time that happened I was about 23 years old. So like no, like I know that most of the time I used to be doing that. Now this time I genuinely was having what felt like a really detached experience until something happened between me and that person. And I had to then, I was asked and I had to come clean because, yeah, my behavior started changing and I realized like, I was attaching, and I'm not in a space where I want to be doing that. Like it's not the time, and it's not for me and that person. Like that's not where we're supposed to go. And I would be doing us both a disservice and dishonor if I ruined the connection that is there between us by attaching heavily and pretending like, no, I'm fine with it, when, you know, because this is just casual. Like, no, it stopped being casual. And so it had to end. And I think that a lot of people are so scared of that. And don't get me wrong, like, fucking hell, like, that brought up fears in me that I didn't even know had, and, you know, feeling of rejection, and then the feeling of also feeling empowered, like, yes, I finally spoke my truth, and that made them speak their truth. And, you know, it was such a weird, bittersweet experience, but I learned a fucking lot. And the reason I learned a lot is because I feel like it showed me how I changed, but I haven't changed, if that makes sense, because I'm just a sensitive Sally who connects or attaches, and that's okay. But it's also okay to let things end and let things be buried and let things just like change and transmute into something else other than what it's always been. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do think that people do that more than they do the genuine thing. And you know, I want to say that men are probably better at it, like the casual sex, than women, but I don't believe that's so. Not especially with men becoming way more in touch with their feminine energy. And I don't see that as a negative. I think that's how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to feel, people. We're supposed to feel. But it's okay to go, do you know what? Oh, we got a man saying men do it, deaf do it for connection. Well, there you go. I really believe they do. I believe they do it in a different way to women. But salutes to you, GR71. That's made me happy to know, because I really believe that. I believe that men do it. You know, men want intimacy and they're needy as much as women are. And I think the word needy is also given sex a bad rap as well. Like, it is a beneficial need. When we start saying, oh, what's your wants? And then we say, but what do you need? That's a positive. But then when we say things are needy, or it's needy to want to have sex with someone, to be intimate with someone, it's like, well, no, it's natural, isn't it? Like, sex is a need. I think I'm entering celibacy. I can just feel, I think it's time to heal sexual trauma, but I think I will always masturbate though. Yeah, like, do you know what as well? Like, also with healing, you have to remember, like, we can go through hypersexuality as well when we're healing. We want to like feel, because we want to feel something other than what we're feeling when we're in pain. So it's like a moment. So sometimes, like, when you're depressed, when you're most depressed is when you're most horny, or most want to have sex, or most want to be intimate with someone, or most want to like self-pleasure. Low vibration can be, and so that's another thing. So then if you're having casual sex from that, operating from that place, that is damaging as hell. Like, that's genuinely, especially for the woman, we have a space that holds energy, a womb. We have a second brain. So if you're allowing energy to be just dumped into there in order to feel something or to fulfill someone else's hypersexuality, extending yourself in order to make someone else feel safe, but really you're trying to make yourself feel safe because you're not being honest in the casual sex experience, we got a lot of damaging going on. We got a lot of undoing going on top of already what we're going on. Because the fact is, women and men have different things, but women already have sexual trauma, even if they haven't experienced it in this lifetime, of something to do with something like someone taking their innocence. When I say taking innocence, I always mean rape, but for my newer clientele, that's what I mean. Taking someone's innocence, whether it's molestation, whether that's someone being sexually harassed, whether that's someone being sexually abusive in the workplace, whatever the version of sexual abuse, we have this ingrained in us for centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries. This is in our DNA. Doesn't matter what our race is, women have experienced this forever. So we've already got shit to undo from our ancestors. We've already got shit to do from collective consciousness energy as sexual abuse and trauma. So if we've already got this as an undercurrent going on, I don't think we should be self-harming on top of that. So then if you then experience it in this life, of course, like, you've got this other massive trauma to be dealing with. And then if you haven't been through that kind of trauma in this life, you know, you still might have had things where you've been rejected after sex. It might not have been like what seemed to be like, you know, something more like like a criminal offense type of thing, but something that's really hurt your feelings after sex, like that all gets locked into the womb. So you have to be careful where you're having sex from, what placement you're having it from. No problem changing the song. Same here, plus I hate the song with passion. Hey Kim! Juice smoothies with some fruits and veggies, good effects on the body. Yeah, juice smoothies are great. Some fruits and veggies. I do think juices are better when they're vegetable based and with a little bit of fruit. But smoothies wise, I'm not having no veggie smoothie really. I'll put spinach in it, but no, it's my thing that I have before the gym. So I top and tail it. I tend to eat like my smoothie maker, my NutriBullet, I blew it up by accident. But when I have smoothies, it's usually in the morning, and then if I have veg, it's always like dinner and stuff. But yeah, it's really good for cleansing yourself in that way. It's weird you say that. Becoming single was suddenly made me want to have sex all the time with anyone. I'm just meditating through it and staying grounded. It's so hard. Yeah, it is. And all it's doing is your sexual trauma is knocking at your door, just asking you to get to know it. Because actually, when I've chosen to meditate over like flirt with someone that I know I can get that kind of attention from, I've had some real fucking breakthroughs and real like, wow, thank God I didn't choose the other option, because Jesus Christ, like I've just like monumentally jumped forward in my healing. So it is really important to restrain yourself when it comes to casual sex as well. Like it's just about being responsible for yourself. Yeah, phone sex is another one. And then porn, like add porn to the fucking mix. Jesus Christ, like The one thing I will say that I am quite anti-porn as a spiritual person. I'm quite anti-porn because I think porn, the what's the word? The expectations and the falseness that it portrays just does not sit right with me. And I've never really watched it. I've watched it with two men, one when I was like 14, my first ever boyfriend that I slept with, and didn't understand it. Felt incredibly embarrassed, if I remember rightly, a bit more prudish back then. And then as I got older, I did it with someone and was just like, can I turn this off? This is really like, I can do what she's doing, but like this is doing nothing for me. Like if anything, it's making me dry as anything. So can we turn it off? So I don't really get the whole porn thing, but I understand the addiction of it 100%. Really, really understand it. But I do think porn is another factor in casual sex kind of culture or casual sex behavior. Because it's almost like living out that fantasy that you're into. And I think because women are more open to understanding their hypersexuality or being more sexual now, it's having the same effect on women as it is on men, which tells me that it's got some kind of like, I don't know, an agenda behind it, and that bothers me. I think we've got to be really careful with our subconscious, and that's not something I want going into mine. Really carrying that too far. Yeah, sexual oppression is huge. So right, I had so many issues with my vagina and women. Now I'm single, they've all gone. It's like my body rejects it now unless it's sacred. Sweet. Yeah, like so grateful. Thanks, Grace. It takes a level of self-discipline and compassion for self. Oh yeah, porn is very problematic. Demonic presence. Hello, Jeannie Styler. It's changed people's perspective and expectations. Very complex. Yeah, it is very complex. You know, it's because I've got like a really good friend, and he told me that like after he watches sex through porn, like say like after masturbating or whatever, he can like he just finds like he feels he's objectifying women. Like he feels like he's not himself. Like he's a very respectful man of women, like very loving and caring to any woman. Whether he fancies you or not, you know, that doesn't determine how he'll treat you kind of thing. But he says when he's watched too much porn, he just finds he's looking at a woman in this like sexual, what can you do way. And he's like, it's like it's he says he can feel the programming at play and at work, and he's like, I'm like blessed that I'm like aware of myself, basically. He's like, but imagine I wasn't, and like have not even an ounce of understanding of myself, what I would like put myself through, kind of thing. And I was like, wow. And like that alone, like, I'd already been put off by porn, but that put me off. Like I was like, And just look at teenagers, like, you know, teenagers go into such a funny space. And then once you know the boys are watching porn, you see it in their eyes, boy. You see it. I've worked with kids, like I've worked with kids for 13 years. And you can tell when a boy started watching porn to when he hasn't. Something changes in his eyes. Yeah, that happens all the time, that they can't actually come with a woman. Like, it's scary. So to me, like, I think that my tips for masturbation, not that like I'm some masturbating like queen, but like learn how to tantrically breathe. And you don't have to read so much books about this. Like, listen to your body. Like, I can't speak for men, but I'm presuming it's the same thing, because I know men that are teaching this stuff and they say similar stuff. But it's about the breathing, like all the breathing. Like, breathing brings us back to everything, and you will have like a much better orgasm than you would by just being like fixated watching porn, rubbing yourself, you know, because you're not breathing. Or like you are breathing, but like you're not breathing that's like connected to self-breathing. Like, of course we're allowed to masturbate, of course we're allowed to self-please, but like it's very funny how they come up with that concept. And look, since porn's been around, I don't think the world got better for porn. Do you know what I mean? Like, not with the devious shit that you can come across and the hidden sites of porns. And, you know, so look, like I've heard pedophiles, and I don't know how much of agreement I am with this, but I think it's a very interesting understanding, if it is true, that they said that porn helped them become a pedophile, because you go from, for them, they felt like they go from one thing to nothing, and you just constantly need to fulfill this need, fulfill this this like height, this thrill. And then all of a sudden, like, this guy says that like he ended up on child porn or something else. Now, obviously, I have no understanding of that. I'm not speaking on behalf of him, but I don't think that there is actually like a lack of, like, I don't think there's like less, there is like, not for every man or woman, but I don't think that is like untrue for some souls in this world. And like, you know, obviously that's a whole other fucking life. But I'm just saying, like, I do think that the power of porn can have that level of effect on some people. And how is that helping the world? So yeah, back to casual sex, because we've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. But back to casual sex, just before we've got like 10-ish minutes left, is like, if you're gonna do it, just be responsible. Like, just be responsible, be communicating, and just be honest with yourself. So say, for instance, like, you know you're gonna go to that person's house and have sex with them, whatever, right? You know that it's gonna happen. Doesn't matter how much you build yourself, like, no, I'm not going this time, like, I need to sort myself out, You know that you need to go and exercise that need. Not even just a sex thing. Maybe it's to be defiant to your soul, or maybe it's to be more egoic or be more carefree. Whatever excuse is given at that time when you know you shouldn't be going, when your intuition is telling you you shouldn't go, right? But you know you're going to go against your intuition. When that happens, when you come back and you're feeling like you want to like pull yourself off the floor like you're a piece of chewing gum with dirt in it, like, you know, that you're feeling like, shouldn't have done that feeling, that's where you need to be being responsible of yourself, and you need to be starting to work towards yourself, so that when the next time comes, there is more strength, or there's more honesty between you and the person. It's got to be different, because casual sex, what I believe is the point of it is to be casual, is to be definitely detached, but the way sex works, because it's such a fucking intimate thing, like, let's think about it, like, you're putting your penis inside of someone else's body to a very intimate and actually, you know, a place near to a place where we also release a dirty part of ourselves. So, like, you can't get more intimate than sex. So let's also honor and respect that sex is sacred, and it's not just something that you do because society has programmed us to think that. And I think it's so important to, you know, understand what is my relationship with sex. That's another thing that happens with casual sex, is there's people out here who are having casual sex, especially young women and young men having sex, myself included. When I used to do this, I didn't even know what I thought about sex. In fact, I didn't even like sex. How about that? I didn't like sex until I had someone who I had really good sex with until I was like 25, bruv. I was 25 before I had good sex. I told you I lost my virginity at 14. So for 9 years of my life, I was just like, I don't get this thing called sex, but I would engage in it for whatever reason. Whether it was because I just wanted to be held, whether it was because like I really fancied the person and my vagina was genuinely talking and attracted to it. Like, it doesn't really matter why I was having sex. I wasn't enjoying sex. I never had an orgasm. Like, well, I did actually. I had orgasms, but it was so few and far between. So it's like for 9 years of my life, I had bad sex, basically. So I didn't even know what I felt about sex. So if you're having casual sex, at least know what your relationship is with sex. What is your relationship with sex? Like, you know, so many people aren't having that conversation with themselves. Some people, like, they'll say like, oh, I don't really like sex, but then they have sex every weekend. It's like, so what do you have sex for? And then there's some people that like are saying that and they're like, no, that's why I don't really engage with sex. I don't really have sex. And then there's other people that like, nah, I love sex and, you know, it's beautiful, and they can really fucking talk the things about it. And it's like, okay, cool. So yeah, you've got a good relationship. It's for sale. Oh, actually, no, this one's not for sale. Someone just bought it. But we do sell them. We sell many others, but not the trinkets. These are mine. But yeah, like, what's your relationship with sex? That's also majorly important when it comes to casual sex. Majorly important, guys. Like, if you don't know what your relationship with sex, and also, do you know what? Another thing to add to the mix, if we're going to take it back to the masturbation thing, I think men are pretty good. They know their penises quite well. Like, they get well acquainted a lot before women do, because it's kind of, I suppose, it's men are supposed to and women aren't, and that's kind of the time that we've been a part of. But now, like, we are in 2018 and sex is very openly spoken about. Being whatever sexual orientation is very openly spoken about. Like, we are in a time where we are in the best. I think we are, like, I'm so proud to be alive right now. I'm so proud also to be a part of this time, because we do talk about a lot of stuff. But women were not encouraged, especially from what I remember with my generation, to masturbate and stuff. So if you don't know your vagina, then you shouldn't be trusting your vagina with anybody else. Because if you don't know where to put someone to put their hand, or to put their dick, or to put whatever, you definitely shouldn't be having casual sex with someone. Definitely shouldn't be having casual sex with someone. Because that's a lack of trust in yourself. That's why I'm saying that, because if you don't trust yourself to touch yourself, or to know your body or your parts, or where you like to be touched or where you don't like to be touched, or what feels nice or what feels really uncomfortable, right? You aren't going to know what it feels like. And then when someone hits your G-spot and you're fucking crying because you don't know what the fuck happened, you're like scared to have sex again. The first time my G-spot was hit, I really freaked out. And then when it happened, like, later again in my life, I was like, yes, because I knew where it was. I knew my stuff. So the first time it happened, I didn't know if I was peeing myself, or if I was like about to like cry or laugh, or was it an orgasm? What? Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know what the fuck happened. I was so scared because I didn't know my own body. But then once I got to like later in my life and I knew like where all these spots were, I was like, yes, who wants to hit it? But like, truthfully, like, casual sex is a deep one. To be honest, I don't think we ever really have casual sex. I do think there's people that can have very good detached sex, but I do think, like, see, like, even the people that say that, I know people that have casually had sex with each other for years and years and years in between other relationships. Oh gosh, you need to get in there, Grace, work it out. But trust me, when it feel it, it's going to be great. Actually, it's not for every woman, apparently. Not every woman likes the feeling of it. But yeah, there are some people that I know that they've slept with each other on and off when relationships have broken up and then they've come back together and thingy. But it's like, that's a huge respect thing. Like, that's a huge like connection thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we could say attachment for some of that happening, but it's like, you trust that person. That means like what you're saying to the world is like, I don't really want to, like, to the universe, like, I don't want to get to know another person that I have to be able to do that like with. Like, I don't want to get to know someone else. I don't want a new person to get to know my partner. That person knows me. I know where I stand with them. So it's like, it's not casual. Like, it's casual in how many times you're doing it with that person, but it's not. It's going back to what you know. It's going back to what feels good at the end of the day. Yeah, you do. You need to explore the G. I want to shoot, baby. You need to shoot, baby. Oh, are you really? See, casual sex, I always find that Virgos can be like surprisingly promiscuous or surprisingly good at the casual sex side. And when I say that, I don't think no one's very good at casual sex. Like, even if, like, I always think it flip reverses, but I've known like casual sex, like, for a lot of Virgos that I know, like, they're all right at doing it. Yeah. Should go through the star signs quickly. Aries. Yeah, Aries can be secretive with it. Aries are like very open though sexually, I find. Like, they're quite open. Grace is killing me. Yes, it does take a level of trust and openness for the G-spot experience. Oh yeah. See, I think I'm an Aquarius, and Aquarius, we're weird. We're weird sex people. Like, we're either like, we can be very hypersexual. It's annoying though. We are like, for me, I'm cliche. I'm so cliche. You gotta be my mate. Like, you have to be my friend. I can't just be like a physical attraction. It's never. No, it's never appealed to me, never been my thing. But like, Aquarius have this tendency of being a bit weird about it. Like, if we're your mate and we're friends with you, like if we can have a laugh with you and talk on a level with you, yeah, you can take all our clothes off and I'm going to be freaking the sheets. But if you're just physically attracted to me and I'm just physically attracted to you, you'll probably just about get a kiss out of me. Weird. Really weird. Aquarius. Who else did we have? Who, me? I have water in my chart. Yeah, I have water in my chart. But I have a lot of Gemini in my chart. And Geminis are freaks. Geminis are freaks. I haven't slept with any Geminis, but I know a few Geminis and they're very open sexually. I think they're the most open out of the air signs. They're less like... Libras are probably the most open, but because they're ruled by Venus... Who else? Scorpios. Oh, Scorpios are like the most sexual, but they are like, I hate saying that because it sounds mean, because they get it a lot, but they are like such sexy people, man. Capricorns are really sexy too. Who else? Saggies are like, literally the period from Libra season up until Capricorn season is sexy season. I always say that. For me personally, I pick up on their energies, and that's like sexy season through. Aquarius, it really cools down. Pisces are quite sexy, but Pisces can be quite prudish. In fact, water signs in general can be quite prudish. But they are very sensual people. But Scorpios, obviously, they set it off. Leos, yeah, Leos are very sexual people, but it's that fire, it's that sun. Like, Leos are like I was going through the other day, like all the people I've been with and slept with and stuff. Were not people that I've had like great connections with, should I say, or boyfriends and stuff like that. And like, most of them have been Leos. Leos are great in the bed. What about Cancers? Virgos are good in bed as well, actually. Just putting it out there. Virgos are very good in bed. Cancers. Yeah, Cancers are sexual people, but they're prudes. Cancers, like they keep it to them. They're not telling you their stories unless they feel like really, really like Leo women are really like it as well. But Leos, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Leos and Virgos have been the best for me personally. Anyway, I got 38 seconds back left. Enjoy. Have a great evening. I'm gonna go to bed because I've got so much to do tomorrow. But love to you all. And it has been a great live, and I've really flipping enjoyed this one. So I'll try and do another one next week. But keep your questions coming of what you want me to put up on my page, what you want to know more about, and I will do it for ya. Love ya. Bye. Oh, hi, bye, guys.